To make free of something unwanted, to rid or get rid of, a removal or execution of ones who are considered undesirable. However you define it, purge is a word that can often have some dark connotations. It seems only apt that a stormtrooper handpicked to serve the Imperial Inquisitors should carry the moniker of Purge Trooper. Once a normal member of the Legion of Standard Issue Stormtroopers, these particular soldiers were pulled from regular duties in order to be specifically trained to become an almost robotic death squad, specifically equipped to serve the Inquisitors and hunt down the remaining scattered Jedi survivors of Order 66, and uniquely clad in all black armor with the occasional shoulder pauldron based on rank, and a kama or a sort of cape, but hung from the belt in the back. Easily said that this armor and dressing was used not only to intimidate and strike fear, but also serve as a metaphor for their operations, working in the shadows, rarely seen, maybe even a myth. Fortunately, myth or not, audiences were able to see the Purge Troopers in action in the recent Disney Plus series Obi-Wan Kenobi. And, as with any Star Wars media appearance, there is a strong chance that means a plastic appearance, or reappearance in this case. Hasbro has brought fans and collectors another shot at picking up the, dare we say, rad-looking Purge Trooper in their Black Series line. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects. In this episode, we are taking a closer look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Purge Trooper. Welcome back. Here is our Star Wars Black Series Purge Trooper. Now the one Phase 2 armor from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus. This is one that has escaped the plastic-free packaging. As we can see, it still has that open window where we can get a nice preview of the figure. But if we rotate around to the back, we can see a nice drawing of the figure. A little bit of information about it in multiple languages. Thank you for that. And then over on this side, we just see that open side panel as we're used to with a lot of the Black Series packaging. And then over on this other side, we have a larger version of that drawing from the back of the Purge Trooper standing here in the foreground. And then in the background, you can see the Inquisitors approaching, right? So the three of them that were in the series more prominently. So very ominous, very creepy. But then when we go right back to the front, we can see our Purge Trooper standing there with his blaster. This is just an awesome looking trooper. So without further ado, let's bust into this one. And here he is, freed from the confines, the Purge Trooper from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus. Now, granted, the Purge Trooper has appeared before, I believe mostly in games, but it's been a while since a Black Series figure was available for it, so it's exciting that this is now back on the market for people to pick up. It's a very cool looking representation of advanced stormtroopers is what we'll call them. But let's take a closer look at them, right? So first and foremost, look at this helmet, right? So that general overall kind of stormtrooper look, but definitely very upgraded, a lot more menacing looking, right? With the red visor, which seems to be very well painted. I do love the application on that. It looks very clean. And then we've got some red vents over on the side, and that's the majority of the red highlights that show up on this helmet. And it looks like they're very well applied. I'm very happy with the way the paint is looking on this so far. And then that mouthpiece with a little bit of extra silver underneath it, all very well applied. I mean, that so far so good on this thing. Not really seeing too much standing out that's looking too bad. The pauldron on here, I am a fan of this on a stormtrooper. I know that it just indicates a leadership thing, but it's just really neat. Ever since first seeing it in the Star Wars movies, I was just like, wow, obviously that one stands out from the other ones. Something's cool about it. But the red that they choose for it is just very neat. It's a very nice tone of red, and it's a fun offset from whether it's the white one or a sand trooper or whatever color their armor is. The red is just a fun offset from it. Granted, I know sand troopers usually have the blue, but there we go. Or I guess shore troopers is what I meant to say. Sand troopers, I think they typically still are in the white, but I digress. That's not important. So let's check out the mobility of the head. So side to side, not terrible from what I might expect with the helmet and the pauldron getting in the way, so not too terrible. Mostly it feels like it's just a looseness thing, not necessarily a posing intention, because it does just kind of move very well. Forward and backwards. Backwards, nothing really impressive, right? It's just kind of shifting around. It does ultimately look a little bit up above what straightforward would be. And then the down is actually a lot better, right? So up underneath that helmet, what do we have going on there? Very curious about that. Kind of difficult to see. It looks like it's just the helmet piece. So it doesn't look like it's anything redesigned. I don't really see that blank head that they put up under there, under some of the helmets in the more recent ones. And then we have just kind of like a turtleneck going on up under there to help drive up under and keep a little bit of realism to it. So let's check out the most important feature. Boom, perfect. Exorcist rotation is absolutely happening. And then the pauldron is just an overlay that's snapped in underneath it. So you can easily strip them of part of its rank, right? We still have the armband on there, but the pauldron can certainly come off very easily if you didn't want it there. The shoulder, it does seem like it has a little bit of a butterfly joint in there with this the turtleneck kind of coming out with it. Good rotation on there. The elbow is a single elbow, it looks like, so kind of disappointed to see that. I would have loved to have seen a double elbow, but we do have that elbow pad that helps cover some of the joints, so I like that because when you're dealing with armor, you have that opportunity to kind of disguise some of the joints for realism. Plus it's in all black, so that does also kind of help mask some of it. No forearm rotation, but we do have wrist rotation with a grip hand, and it does have the forward, backward, or supination and pronation of the wrist over there. The other arm has that same flexibility and capability. The pauldron kind of does get in the way of that full rotation, unless you kind of bend the arm out a little bit. It will ultimately go around, but as you can see, it does kind of disrupt everything else that's going on there. And then this other hand is up and down, and it is a weapon holding yet another grip hand. So there we go. Mid-torso has that full range of motion, right? So forward, back, and then we have kind of the ability to wobble to and fro, if you will, which does give it the ability to kind of curve backwards fairly well. The crunch forward, not the best, but it does give a little bit of a hunch going on there, right? So not too bad. Can't really complain. I'm pretty sure this is all a bunch of reuse, but this is the first one that I have ever had. We do not have waist rotation, but the comma for a second there, the belt and the comma, kind of gave the impression that it did. But I also think I just learned that maybe the belt and the comma are separate pieces, so they don't rotate necessarily at the same time because the belt wanted to move a little bit without it. So it is this comma, a little skirt thing, cape on a belt. It is wrapping all the way around, and it does have a piece that connects underneath the belt, but it is not attached to rotate necessarily with the belt, aside from pressure dragging it along. And then just kind of typical Stormtrooper mobility in the legs, right? So the split, not too bad, considering the armor that could easily get in the way. We do have thigh rotation that rotates the armor, so it does mask that line. We have not the most flexible of knees right there. That's also very disappointing. Looks like a single joint in there, so not a whole lot of flexibility, but they are still technically Stormtroopers. And then here in the foot, forward and backward, not bad. And then, yeah, he can still break his ankle. He's still a humanoid, right? So there we go. And then, of course, same flexibility and capabilities on the other side. Paint applications, though, and looking at this, right, I don't see anything that stands out. Typically, things just kind of shine through in just looking at it. The red on the armband is imperfect, right? There's a little bit of black shining through. But the other applications, a little random red dot right there for one of the, like a light or a button. It's very well applied. I mean, just, it's a simple design. There's not a lot special to it. I like the cloth goods comma that's going on here, and I like the red applied on the front. It acts like it's wired, but it's not. It's just the way that the paint dried and it pulled it that way. Would be cool if it was for a little bit of posing, right? Standing in the wind or something. But that's the guy, right? No, not really any major concerns. The paint, everything looks okay. Nothing that stands out. So if this is one that you wanted to add to your collection, definitely is a great opportunity to do so. I am happy that I invested in it. I will say that the weapon is very simple, right? It is a bit of a rifle, but it's just cast in that grayish, almost a brown hue to it, plastic. No paint highlights or anything like that to it. So missed opportunity on that. It would have been neat to see that highlighted, especially if this is truly as much reuse as it seems like it would be, or seems like it is. So I would have to say maybe a little bit more effort on the weapons if we're just doing a repaint. But there he is. There's the Purge Trooper. Well, that about brings us to the end of this episode from a galaxy right here Thank you for taking the time to join us, as always. Now, if we ever do a review of something you are trying to find for yourself, please follow and DM us on Instagram at JKCollectsToys so we can help with the search if we do not already have a way of getting one. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comments and let YouTube know by subscribing and clicking that like button. The more that happens, the more YouTube recommends us, so we can hopefully reach even more collectors and help them find things that they need. And if you'd like to see some more videos, we do have some links on your screen right now for you to check out. And remember, collecting or not, we are all in this world together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.